Welcome to the Backyard Bounty Podcast from HeritageAcresMarket.com, where we talk about all things backyard poultry, beekeeping, gardening, sustainable living, and more. And now, here's your host, Nicole.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Backyard Bounty Podcast, where we aim to inspire and educate, sharing practical information to help your homestead thrive. I'm your host, Nicole, and today I'm talking to Annette of Azure Farm and the Azure Farm podcast about the basics of raising chickens. So, Annette, thank you and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. This is so exciting. I'm very happy to be a part.
Yeah, I'm excited to get you on the show. We finally made it work. And
Right?
we're going to make the best raising chicken episode ever.
I love it. Good idea.
So right now, with everything going on, it seems like the interest in chicken keeping has definitely peaked. I've seen a lot of people on my website looking for help and a lot of stuff on social media. And I'm assuming that you probably have seen something similar.
For sure. It's crazy. All of a sudden, it's such a piqued interest in chickens and people want, eggs. And I mean, obviously, it's a way to have food on the table. And I think people worry about things going on. And it's such a nice guarantee to be able to have that with chickens. So it's definitely piqued interest for sure. And friends are asking me, do I have eggs? And all the things. So it's a good time to get chickens, I guess.
It is, if you can find them. Apparently, they're sold out. In fact, I had a couple people call me today looking for chickens. So
really, there was a picture I saw at one of our Tractor Supplies that the line was very long going out the door for the chicks. I guess whenever they get their shipments in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's crazy. They're not easy to find, I guess.
Well, it's an interesting time right now, for sure.
That is for sure. But I mean, chickens can make it a fun time. I'll say that. If you're at home more and want something to do, I think keeping chickens could be a very fun activity, at least for me.
Especially now in quarantine. I mean, what better thing to do than to go sit in front of your chicken TV or, your little brooder.
Exactly. Oh, I love that term, chicken TV. Oh man, I need to remember that. What a good idea.
It's way better than cable.
I don't even know. I don't even have time to watch television. So I agree. Very true. Yeah, I would think figuring out where to get your chickens from would probably be the main issue right now. But normally people could get them from, a lot of different online sources or your local stores. Usually that's how you can get them. I don't know about near you.
Yeah, I know that here we, of course, have your local Tractor Supply or Big R or something like that.
Sure.
Facebook groups are also really good to locate reputable local breeders. You can order them online, but usually that comes with a minimum for shipping, which I always say, find a chicken friend and split the order. That way you don't have all 15 or however many if you don't want them.
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, and there's always someone interested, I would say. At least if you live kind of out where there's chickens around, you can usually find someone that's going to want chickens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten mine from lots of different places, actually, from both the store and had them shipped. And I think, there's a few little things in regards to their care that are probably a little different when they come through the mail versus getting them at the store. But I usually get them as babies. Have you gotten them as pullets a lot?
I actually started with my birds, a while ago from a local breeder, and all of the other ones that I've gotten have either been chicks or pullets, but every year I get about 500 or so guinea fowl through the mail.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I just did a video on YouTube for how to take care of chicks when they come in through the mail, because like you said, there's a couple little tricks for those. Mm-hmm.
Sure. And I think just when they're little like that, the last ones I ordered came from California and I live in Georgia. So that's a long way. Obviously they ship quick, but you just got to make sure they get hydrated quick and, put like electrolytes. I put electrolytes and probiotics in their water and make sure they know where their water is immediately. And it's just, you want to make sure they're hydrated and happy as soon as you get them, because their poor things are scared and have been cooped up in a box which I feel so bad, but it's the only way to do it, I guess, unless you get them locally.
Right. Yeah, I do that same thing too with the electrolytes, and then I don't feed them for the first probably 2 hours. That way they can get hydrated and warm and kind of just settle in, take a nap.
Sure. I think the hardest thing, I usually recommend to people to not handle them really for a little bit, even the first few days, just because they need to acclimate, and they're brand new, they just literally just came out of an egg. So that's probably the hardest part because everyone just wants to grab them and hold them, and they're so cute, but they do need their space for a little bit, especially when they're that little.
Yeah, after a few days, I agree. You can pretty much, as long as they stay warm enough, handle them as much as you want.
Sure. Then they love it.
Yes.
I think they love it. Some don't seem to love me. I will say some give me the side eye. I don't know what that is, but some really seem to like me. So I'm glad.
Have you ever had turkey poults?
Yes, but they were hatched by their mom.
Mm.
So that was a whole different, I didn't have to do anything. It's quite a breeze when the parent does all the work.
Yes. But turkey poults, well, turkeys in general are like dogs. They just love their people, but turkey poults will beg to spend time with you. I used to every time I'd be like sitting around, which doesn't happen a lot, I'd always have a little poult like on my chest or whatever, and oh my gosh, they're so clingy to like stage 5 clinger level, but it's
I
so
love
fun.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm hoping mine will hatch more this year. I've been waiting to see if anybody starts sitting on eggs, but they haven't quite done it yet. So I'm waiting. I got ducks, turkeys, and chickens, and I'm waiting for somebody to reproduce. We'll see.
So, what else do you have on your farm? I have a heck of a time saying Azure.
Azure. I know. I say Azure. I think the real way is Azure. Azure, but I don't know. I've developed a Southern accent probably by the time I've lived here for 10 years. How long have I been here? Almost 14 years. So who knows? Azure, whatever you want to say is fine. We've got the turkeys, the ducks, the chickens for our bird category. And then we've got goats, donkeys, and alpacas as our larger ones. And then there's a bunch of cats that claim the farm as their own. So they seem to have a blast.
So definitely enough to keep you at least a little busy.
I know, you don't realize, but it's the good kind of busy. I think that's one of the awesome benefits of living out a little ways from the city and having a little bit of land and some animals. I just think it's such a refreshing thing to come home to and to be around and to learn from them and kind of see what they do. And it's just very, very fun. Busy and hard, but fun.
Yeah, it's interesting how the level of work is also almost like therapy, or it's a good way to relax at the end of the day is to go do more work, but it's very therapeutic.
It is work, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's something, at least for me, that I enjoy and that it's just soothing, and just seeing the animals like grazing and doing their thing, and just the birds in general are so fun, just their little antics and things they do and chasing each other. And yeah, it's just fun. They all have personalities, and I think people sometimes don't think that certain animals have personalities, or even people are like, why do you have turkeys?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, they're pretty awesome. Like there's just so many things that you wouldn't know, and that's okay. People just don't know. But if you are able to experience it, it's definitely very fun and rewarding to see.
That whole dynamic is just different, and it's fun, and I enjoy it too. So with your chickens, I know a lot of people probably have the question of what breed should they start with, but what are some of the favorites that you have?
Oh, there's so many.
It's hard to choose.
It's very hard. I mean, I really feel like if you're going to get chickens and you have no idea where to start, you really need to first determine, why are you going to get chickens? Do you want them, for eggs, for meat, for temperament, all those things? Because they are kind of different in their personalities and what they do. For me, like I've loved just, they're maybe not the like prettiest, quote unquote, but like Buff Orpingtons are very sweet. They just follow me around and hop on my lap, and they lay eggs pretty frequently, and they're just a fun, kind bird. Wyandottes have been good for me too. Oh man, I don't know. There's so many breeds. I like the really cute ones. I have silkies now. They're super cute, but they're so little,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's just, sometimes I've realized that the more like plain looking bird, at least for me, have been the friendlier, better ones. And then the more fancy they get, they've been more weird with me. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I've had issues with my Wyandottes being
really
awful creatures of Satan.
Really? See, that's what's funny. I don't know. Maybe it just depends. Might have been good. I lost a couple and I was very sad.
Oh.
But that happens too, And so I then try to not get attached because it's hard to not get attached.
It is.
What have been your favorites?
Oh goodness. I'm not supposed to be put on the spot here. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, you're fine. It's hard to choose. I originally started with Easter eggers.
Yeah, I love mine.
Those are fun, and I like their little puffy cheeks. I have about 50-ish chickens right now, and
Yes.
I kind of look at them as my coworkers and not so much my
Sure.
pets because, predation and age and stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to keep a level of unattachment with them.
Yeah,
I guess.
I get totally. No, that's what I mean. You kind of have to at one point. You have to because, yeah, I totally understand. But I do like those, like the Aracanas or Americanas. Those have been fun for me, and also one of those is the Easter egger. But they have been fun for me. I think most, if you raise them from babies and they get to know you and all that, for the most part, they can be as friendly as a chicken can be and follow you around and stuff, as long as you give them snacks,
Yes.
treats. There's always, it just works. It's just not just love they want the treats.
Yeah, they're very food motivated for sure.
Yes. That's for sure.
With me, because I've had so many in my previous job at the fire department where I didn't really have a lot of time to just kind of come home and play with them. So most of mine are pretty unfriendly, but I have this little Polish that I got 2 years ago, which was the last time I added new birds. And I don't know why I didn't treat that one any different, but that one, she doesn't have a name because every time we name them, they get picked off by a predator. But we call her my little buddy, and she'll come running.
Oh,
And the poor thing, they don't let her grow her crest, so she's crestless.
That's happened with mine. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. They're just attracted to those feathers up there.
They are. And then, of course, this one's the most diminutive of them, and so it's the quiet little gentle one, so they pick on it.
Oh, I guess if people don't know what a Polish is, they have like I don't know. Does it look like a big like a big mop up on top of their head? It's like a big white, or depending on their color, but a big like poof of feathers literally on top of their head. They can hardly see.
Yes.
Because they're like feathers are coming over their eyes, and they're very fun.
Big poofy hair.
Yeah, I mean, mine was named Tina Turner.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the other one was Reba McIntyre.
There you go.
And then what was my third one? See, I try to not remember the names because I get attached to, was it Donna Summers or something? They all had like singer names with like fun hair. So yeah.
Yes. Definitely a more decorative breed. Not the best egg layers, but they're cute and they're different.
Very true.
So what are some issues that you faced with your chicken experience, either with them as little or as they've gotten older?
It depends. Again, like, why do you want chickens? Are you going to get just a few or on a large scale? All those things. But it's really figuring out their like coop and run setup. And for me, we've like had to redo a couple things a few times because I didn't know at first what we really needed and what was best. And so I feel like we finally have a setup where it works and all of that. But I would say, like, if you're wanting to get some chickens, really have an idea of kind of what you want. It's hard because, with chickens, I mean, you have so many, but the whole chicken math thing.
Yes. That is
where you think like, I'm only going to have 5 chickens.
Sure you are.
Like, why? Yeah. Like, why would I need this huge, or why would I need more space, or why do I need a plan for that? I'm only getting 5 chickens. Well, I'm just going to tell you, you don't just end up with 5 chickens.
I started with 6 for what it's worth.
Yeah. See, and you have 50. So it's just how it works. It just multiplies and all these things. So the main thing I probably hadn't really known to plan for and all that is to really have a structure that worked well and that was safe, and to figure out how I was going to do their daily kind of thing in terms of like, do I let them free range or not? Is their area safe? All those things. Because we lost a lot of chickens in the first little while that we had them. And, that was really hard because I was attached to them. And then I realized, okay, there's a few things we have to tweak and make sure there's proper, fencing and their coop is secure and all those different things, which some people don't tell you. I swear everyone at first just talked about how awesome chickens were, and nobody told me you could lose chickens, which is always a risk no matter what you do. But it's just nice to be prepared and have the right housing and environment and all that stuff.
Yeah, I had the same struggle, and that's actually part of how I ended up with so many birds, because I had an initial coop and run, and it was fine for the 5 birds. And then it had some problems, so I built something new, and then I had this old run that, of course, I had to put
Mhm.
something in it. So then I
Right.
got the turkeys or the peacocks or,
Mhm.
whatever. It kind of
Sure.
expanded from there. But we actually have an episode with Matt from Carolina Coops a few weeks back that has a
Yeah.
lot of really good pointers for people that are looking to build their own coop and run. But
Love that.
that has been a huge challenge. You have to make it big enough that everybody's happy and easy to clean and easy to get your eggs and the right perches and the right nest boxes, and so they don't poop in their nest boxes. That's been probably the biggest challenge, sort of predators for us as well.
I think it's something once you kinda know and what to look for, then it's okay, but yeah, especially when you have, I will say, different kinds of birds, like, not just chickens, because most of mine are actually together,
Oh,
so
really?
and not everybody does that, nor do you need to, it's just how it's worked out okay for us, but, yeah, it's just interesting how you just have to think of all these dynamics. So many dynamics for between all the children, they just,
They all have different needs.
oh, man, what can you do,
Yeah, I keep all of my birds separate. So since you have a mixed flock, what does your coop and run look like?
Yeah, so I realized so the turkeys for me don't most part do not like to sleep inside the coop. They never did. It's just kind of not their thing. So I have for them like tree limbs in the run. And the run is completely enclosed and it has a roof over half of it. So and in winter I'll cover a side of it with kind of where they are with like super heavy plastic so they actually do really well that way and like it much better than when I was trying to shove them into a coop and lock them up. So I realized that that works for them and that's good. Now I have ducks. So the ducks, I have to make sure there's bedding on the ground at the coop because they all sleep on the ground, which is a different dynamic.
Mhm.
And then, of course, the chickens, they figure out, there's all sorts of perches for them. And of course, they all fight over the super highest perch that, where they all think they're at the top of the food chain, so to speak. But yeah, I think it's just making sure you have adequate space for everyone and learning, what works best for your flock. And it might not be what traditionally you might think. Yeah, they seem to do okay. They seem to like it.
Yeah,
I think they do. Anyways, they haven't told me differently.
right.
So,
The only reason mine are separate is because, like I mentioned, I had a separate structure, so I just kind of
yeah,
took advantage of it, but I've always been concerned about the possibility of blackhead with the turkeys,
yeah.
but
And I researched that a lot and I talked with a lot of people about that. And that's just something that turkeys can get from chickens. A lot of times if you keep them together. What I realized is mine free range every day, and they're actually not really cooped up together all that much except for at night. And with the turkeys kind of not sleeping with the chickens because they're separate. A lot of their poop and things don't really go in the same place, and a lot of their eating is still kind of separate. And then when they free range, they're out and about. So I think if they were cooped up more and
yeah,
had to be like 24/7 in a small
confined.
enclosure all the time, I do think that could be an issue. But the people I talked to told me that kind of also depends where you are and all these things, but that as long as they're not enclosed together all the time, that shouldn't be an issue. And so I'm going with that plan.
Well, if it seems like it's been working.
Yeah, they've been okay.
So do you keep different feeders for your mixed birds because it's a mixed flock, or does everybody eat out of the same feeder?
They've got a couple feeders, but they all eat the same main kind of general chicken feed, and then I supplement into it depending on what's going on with the flock. So I'll sometimes make my own, which is very complicated. I wouldn't recommend that to everyone, but you can. The ducks need, more like niacin and different things, especially when they're little. So I'll add like nutritional yeast or brewer's yeast and things into that mix as well, and then extra seeds and all those type of things which the turkeys love. So everybody can eat everything. You just have to make sure that there's the right nutritional things that everyone needs. And again, they free range every day, so they are able to forage and get everything they would want from free ranging as well. And our winters are not super harsh. You're a lot colder where you are, where you probably have to supplement more,
Mhm.
I would think, than here. Obviously, in winter, they'll eat more feed versus free range, but it balances out, I think.
So since you free range them every day, what sort of predators do you have in your area? And I know that you said that you've lost some. Was that due to predators?
In our area, during the day, it's hawks. That's not an issue with the turkeys, but it can be for the chickens and some of the ducks. The chickens, we've definitely lost quite a few to hawks. And what I hadn't realized is where you let them free range and do everything, it's great if they can have places to shelter under, whether that be, it could be just brush or bushes or even just something that if there is something coming from above they can quickly like scurry and go under, and at first the area that they were free ranging in didn't have that. They were free ranging in a much like wider just kind of field, and it was almost like come eat me, here I am type of thing. So I would say just make sure if they're free ranging that they have areas they can duck under, or little structures too. At night our issues would be raccoon and fox. Coyotes are around here too, but it would be a little harder for them to get in. We've got the donkeys and everything near the coop, so it'd be hard for those larger animals to get near. But I know we lost ducks and everything to a raccoon, especially because the ducks sleep on the ground.
Mhm.
So, that's always a bummer. But I will say for a longest time, I didn't have a rooster. And I guess, there's probably a lot of pros and cons. People could argue for that. But I've not lost hens since I've had a rooster. He takes his job very seriously, and it's helped.
That's one of the things I love about guinea fowl. And I always tell people if you have the space and you don't have to worry about neighbors being upset about a couple noisier birds,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
is to add a couple of guinea fowl because they're so much more wild that they pay a lot more attention
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they won't leave the flock because they're very flock oriented. So they'll stay close with the chickens, but I always keep 2 to 3 guineas in with my chickens because they watch the sky, they watch the ground, and they are the first to see anything every time.
I love that. I've heard that. I almost got guineas. It was like almost 2 years ago, and it just didn't work out in terms of like I didn't have a place to put them and all these different things. So I'm gonna have to talk to you after this, and we're gonna have to figure out a plan for me.
Yes, definitely.
But the rooster definitely alerts the hens
Mhm.
and is on the alert and lets them know. And it's really kind of cool to see how animals communicate with each other and alert, and then they all kind of follow. And it's just very cool dynamic. So I've heard a goose. Have you heard of that?
I've
A
heard that
goose?
too, I just don't have any personal experience.
I don't either. I've heard that you have to just get one, I guess, is what people have told me, because two will pair together and then they won't watch, but that one will watch a flock and alert too. So I don't know.
I know for us, our biggest issue is coyotes. We do have hawks, and that's definitely a problem, but I haven't personally lost any birds to hawks, but the
Mm-hmm.
coyotes, they even come out in the middle of the day and we'll pick them off.
Oh man, that's not fun.
Mm-mm. And those are really hard because even if you have a fence, they can climb over tall fences, they can
Sure,
dig under
absolutely.
fences,
Yep.
day and night. It's just I don't free range my birds unless I can actually be out there with them. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing
Makes sense.
yard work or something, and then we have a Rottweiler that has taken the role of livestock guardian dog very seriously. She's
Love
very
it.
gentle to the chickens, doesn't hurt the chickens, but she even chases off like Tweety birds and doves and stuff.
Oh,
She loves to
I
protect them,
love
but
that. It's hard. It's hard with animals. And I think that's one thing, like, if you're going to get chickens, just know that it's bound to happen at some point. The first time it happens will be the worst.
yes.
And I would say just don't give up on having them, because I do feel there's a lot of benefits and enjoyment from them, even if you do lose some. But, farm life kind of has to toughen you up a little. You just kind of, I don't know.
Well, and I think especially the people in an urban setting are surprised to find when a stray dog or a passing
Sure.
hawk of some sort, a bird of prey comes and loses takes a bird. So unfortunately, I think it's just kind of part of the deal and it's unfortunately inevitable.
Yeah, it's just something you just have to know is going to happen at some point and
Yes.
just be prepared. Even if you take all precautions. And I will say, like you said, in a more urban, like, or in a neighborhood, because so many people have chickens now, the dogs are a big thing, because dogs naturally will chase something, unless they've been trained not to. And unfortunately, a lot of time it's, a neighbor's dog or even people's own dogs who are not used to having chickens.
Mhm.
So just, kind of have to just be aware of that and train them, or whatever you might need to do there, because that's more disheartening. If it was your own pet that did it, then that would just be really sad.
Oh, poor chickens.
I know, right? We've gotten very depressing.
We have.
Chickens are great.
They are.
Chickens are so great. I do think it's good to talk about it, only because people don't talk about it enough.
What's your favorite egg color?
That's like asking me what favorite chicken.
I know.
Because it's all pretty. I mean, of course, I love the blue ones. I was shocked at how many people didn't know chickens laid more than just white or brown eggs,
Mhm.
And obviously, if you don't know a lot about them and you just buy, just the grocery store eggs, that's all they come in. I had one lady that was like, no, that's not possible that they're blue. And I'm like, no, they are. I promise. And I sell my eggs. So the first time I brought them and it was like a, multicolor version, they were just like, what in the world? But how cool, how cool that you get your own variety and it's like a surprise every time. And yeah, it's just cool.
And the nutritional value does not change based on outward appearance.
I have been asked that. That kind of would be fun, but that wouldn't be fair.
Right. Like M&Ms. They're all the same on the inside.
Yes, still delicious.
Yes. So I don't know if you have experienced anybody with this, but one thing that I've seen a lot of recently is people that go to their local feed store and maybe bins are mislabeled or maybe it's due to a lack of understanding and people end up purchasing Cornish Cross birds that they find is not a good thing if they want egg layers.
Correct. I have not had that happen to me. I know someone that did that and they were disappointed.
Yeah, I bet that was an understatement.
So the Cornish Cross, what we usually say are the ones that are used for meat, right?
Mhm.
So it's not the same as an egg-laying hen. Tractor Supply and those don't normally have a lot of those.
See, ours does.
Yours does?
Mhm.
The ones here don't. Maybe it depends on on area demand, maybe.
Yeah, that could be.
They all look so similar when they're little.
I know that traditionally the Cornish Cross, because they're grow up to be a white colored bird, so they're yellow and they have really thick legs. That's the best way I can describe it.
That's a good thing. I had two. I bought two on purpose.
Oh, did you?
When I first got the flock, because I was like, you know what? I want to. And they are just the plain white, but they were actually very fun. And, they were loud. They were a little more voiceful actually than my other ones.
Really?
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but you're right. Their legs were very prominent from the get-go.
Mhm. So did you get them to butcher then? Did you process them?
No, they were two of the ones that got taken.
Oh, no.
Right? So maybe the wild animals knew that those are ones that are more for food. But I had them for a long time. I had them for maybe a couple years.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious about that because I know traditionally they 6 to 8 to 10 weeks they get giant and they usually rub the feathers off their bellies because they can't walk and they're huge and everybody says you need to butcher them or they're going to have little chicken heart attacks and die.
Mine did okay. I don't know if maybe where they were from. I got them at the local store. They got big, but they weren't like how you see in like the pictures, like, because they get like the really large, because that's why you butcher them, because they grow like a very meaty chicken.
Mhm.
No, I did okay. They didn't. One time I just didn't find them. I'm assuming they got taken. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And I didn't find them around. Right. So yeah, but no, they were around because I got them in July and they were around at least a year and a half.
How interesting.
Yeah.
I raised any myself, but that's just everything that I've read about that if you don't butcher them, they're going to die a horrible death because they're so big and fat and
maybe the ones I got weren't like the full, like they were Cornish, but maybe because where they came from, I got nothing. But they were fun. I named them Snow and Angel because they're white. See, you're not supposed to name them. Don't name them.
That's how you guarantee them to get picked off by predators. Obviously, there is a lot to learn about chickens, especially for somebody that maybe is jumping into it right now and hasn't had the time and opportunity to spend a while researching or what have you. So I know that you have a chicken keeping class.
Yeah, it's so basic. I feel like you have tons of amazing resources on your site.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just the basics. Like if you haven't had chickens, or even if you do and you want to maybe get a little more information about something, it's just a pretty broad from baby to adult course to hopefully make you feel like you're prepared to care for them and, what to do when they're little and as they grow and what to feed them. And I go over like their coop and run and all the different things, a lot of the things we've talked about tonight, and just to hopefully make you feel ready and capable of taking care of them and enjoying them, because that's the fun part.
Well, and I'm sure, you can get information from my website, somebody else's website, and this, that, and the other, but sometimes there can be some contradictory information. So it's nice to have everything bundled in one little package that you can just go through and get the information.
And it's all videos. Like I did videos, so there's videos on each topic. So, and like an ebook. And again, like you said, there could be contradicting things. This is what's worked for me, for the time that I've had chickens and all that I've learned. And of course, you still learn things day to day, but I feel like it's good to share knowledge and help each other,
Yeah, no, especially if somebody's new and just kind of jumped in. I'm sure that any resource would be helpful. So where can we find your course?
It's actually howtoraisechickens.com.
Well, how about that?
Right. To make it pretty simple. They can also, find me through like my Azure Farm website or my Instagram. But yeah, we thought we'd make it easy. howtoraisechickenscourse.com. A quick thing I can remember.
And of course, I can put a link to that in the show notes so that
Thank you.
Even easier.
With the chickens, I just think the main thing to tell people is before you get them, make sure you can have them wherever you live, because there's HOAs and all those things depending on where you are. And then just research a little bit before you get them. It's hard to not maybe just run to the store and buy them when you see them, But I think it's good to just be a little prepared, and then you'll be more successful in raising them and having them for a long time and having them be healthy and happy.
Yeah, I agree. Just like anything else, they're a living creature, and doing a little homework ahead of time will make your life and theirs a lot better.
Agreed. They do grow. They do have a weird tween stage too,
Yes.
Like I think everyone's like, oh, baby chicks, they're so cute. And they are. And then they get into like this weird, awkward phase, where you're like, what is that? Like, it's like they're kind of dinosaur looking with feathers, before they get like fully like adult cute hen. And so, you just have to be prepared. That's all.
Yeah, I hope that you don't look like this forever stage.
Exactly. Nobody warned me at first. I remember my husband one time was like, wow, they look different. I was like, yeah. And I had like 18 of them in like this brooder, and they were all like squawking, and they just looked like wild. And I was like, wow, this is totally different, but it's very fun.
Yeah, I definitely think that whether or not you're getting chickens right now for, sort of a food security thing, or you just want to add them to your home or your farm or whatever, however you live, I think they're awesome. And I think everybody should have chickens. They're great.
Very much agree.
Well, Annette, thank you so much for talking chickens with me today and sharing some of your stories and your experience. I hope that the listeners were able to take some information out of this and hopefully make their chicken raising ventures more successful.
Oh, thank you. I admire all you do. You're so awesome and have so much that you do. So it's not easy, I know. So hats off to you, and thank you for asking me to be a part. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. And I could say the same to you. I love your Instagram, and I'm so very jealous of your beautiful farm and all of your amazing animals, and your Instagram is incredible. I love watching everything that you do there without sounding stalkerish.
Oh, no, you're so sweet. Thank you. Don't worry. I'd like to take nice pictures, but there's still all sorts of gross farm things. Don't worry.
Well, you sure make it look beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
And for those of you listening, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Backyard Bounty. If you have a question for the show, call our listener message line at 719-647-7754. Again, 719-647-7754, and leave your question or comment for a future episode. And don't miss next week's episode when we talk to Angela of Axe and Root Homestead about making soap. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to Backyard Bounty, a podcast by HeritageAcresMarket.com. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, please email us at ask@heritageacresmarket.com. Also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Heritage Acres Market. All the links mentioned in this podcast will be included in the description. See you again next week.